All right, hold on a second.
No problem. I'll wait right here. Just let me know when you're ready to continue.
You're right.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Qwen3.5 Omni. Now this model is very unique because it can understand video, audio, and text input, which allows us to embark on some perhaps less commonly explored areas of using these models. In specific, for today's video, as you may be able to tell from the title, we're going to be focused on the concept of audio-visual vibe coding, where instead of just describing through text prompts what we want the model to make, we can actually show it using videos with obviously speech inside them. This is something that I've played with before on and off because truthfully the models that allow you to do this are still not very common comparatively to just text-based LLMs. So this is going to be a rather fun video, at least I hope, as I am just beginning to film it now. We'll start with just a brief look at Qwen3.5 Omni and some of its capabilities, but following that we'll jump in and start testing it. I would like to note that there are a bunch of interesting speakers as well that you can have conversations with the model, so we're going to look at perhaps some of the more eccentric speakers that do exist, and they are voice selections, of course. The other thing I would like to prominently mention is that this video is sponsored by Alibaba, as they were like, wow, your videos do so much better than the other people who cover these models. We want to sponsor you. And I was like, absolutely. Okay, it didn't quite happen like that. It didn't happen like that at all. But this is sponsored by Alibaba, so thank you to them for continuously supporting the channel. With that, you can also subscribe. So let's take a quick peek at this model, and then we'll jump into some fun and light testing. Now, truthfully, I struggle what specifically to mention from this announcement blog post right here, being that a lot of the capabilities that are talked about here are better actually showcased live and in real time. But one of the things we can see right here is that this is able to handle interruptions. They mention that specifically right here in this section, where they support the semantic interruption by developing native turn-taking intent recognition based on Omni. That means that when the model is speaking, if you start to speak while it is speaking, it will stop and then start listening again without messing things up. So that's specifically what is referred to as that. And in the quest to have more perhaps lifelike AI conversational models, that is something that is very important, as well as latency, because those things not being tuned quite right can really ruin the immersiveness of a potential chat application or something of the sort. Additionally, we do of course have some performance with some benchmarks and things like that, but something to note about this model is it's also actually quite decent at writing code. So some of what we're going to see later on in the demonstrations where we have it make a website from a video or a picture. Now, in line with the mention of the audio-visual capability here, following that we can see that this has captioning capability that is audio-visual. So previously it would be able to caption the audio perhaps with the timestamps in the video that the audio was being played. However, this can now do more than that. It can also correlate the specific things seen in the video as well as a caption of the audio, which can be pretty useful. And some of the examples they see down here are actually pretty interesting, because this is one where this would almost be more of a autonomous security or moderation tool where it can determine whether bad things are present based on audio-visual context instead of needing a human to manually go and watch stuff like that. That can be kind of disturbing. You can have a model that can understand it, do it, and then it will flag it if it is bad, or it could just autonomously kind of bin it and it would never see the light of day. So there are real use cases for capabilities like this. And the final thing I totally neglected to mention is there are two variants of this. There is the Qwen3.5 Omni Flash and the Qwen3.5 Omni Plus. Now, because we're going to be using this today through the chat.qwen.ai web interface, we're going to be using the Plus variant, as that is the one that is available. So this will be the more capable version of this specific Qwen3.5 Omni family. So I'm going to initiate a voice conversation just by clicking this little button right here, and it will just start with voice chat and it should automatically begin. Now, hey, what's up, little guy?
Hey there, I am doing just fine, thanks for asking. Always nice to chat with someone new. How about you? What kind of day?
Okay, all right. I did not ask for a book, okay? I just said, how you doing? That's like a 1 or 2 word response max. Come on.
Oops, my bad. I'm good. Thanks. How about you?
So there are also a bunch of voices here that we can choose from, and they do have some little subtext here to just give you insight into what the specific voice is. Now, some of these are perhaps a little more eccentric than others, such as the one that we initially had spoken to called Gold. There were some others. Now, I've peeked at some of these prior to filming this video, just because there are certain tests that I like to do that perhaps wouldn't go so well on camera. We can also filter the voices just by English, so that's what I'm going to do right here. And then we can also filter beyond that for like emotional companionship, role-playing. I'm going to just filter them for English and not with any specific like role-playing stuff, but you can definitely see there's a wide variety of different voices here, and if you click on them...
Sure! Let's move on to some broader questions. For you, what was the opportunity?
Yes, imagine walking on that crisp golden cup.
Yeah, imagine sitting in those... Weird. I can hear a clattering sound inside.
You smell that fresh bread scent? Feels like...
Of course, you know, those rusty gates are like an old actor ready to tell 1,000...
Yeah, back then, a friend heard me reading a radio ad and said, "Wow."
Yeah.
I order you boys to go... What's it got to do with...
Hi, I'm Aken. Are you tired today, sister? Did you eat properly?
Well, you little rascals. Got nothing better to do all day.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey there, I'm doing just fine. Thanks for asking. How about you? Is there anything fun or interesting happening in your world today that you'd like to share?
Well, I'm just filming a video.
That sounds exciting. What kind of video are you working on?
I'm just making fun of this model. All right, I'm done with this, but I did want to just showcase that there were some also voice options there. There are a ton of them, and some of them are rather, as I said, eccentric, to put it lightly. Now, next up, we're going to just jump straight into some prearranged videos that I have recorded to essentially test this model with some of our more traditional tests, but by doing it instead of text prompt through video prompt instead. So, of course, the browser OS is a favorite of our testing. I am going to be instructing it to do the browser OS test. However, instead of saying anything, I've just given it a video that is instructing it. Now, because okay, so we can see, all right, this is, so it's creating a browser OS test, but I feel like I should give some level of perhaps background information in the specific video it did receive. So here is our browser OS audio-visual vibe coding prompt that the model is responding to. All right, listen up, punk. Here's what's up. You're going to make me a browser OS using HTML, JS, and CSS contained within a single script. It should be able to be opened in any modern browser like Google Chrome. Next up, we're going to need 5 applications included, 2 of which must be games, the ability to change wallpaper, do not mess that up, and then a special feature that you decide on and implement all by yourself. You think you can handle it, punk? Code it now. So that is all I gave it. As we saw, there was absolutely no text to go alongside that. I literally just uploaded this video and pressed send. So it is now immediately just jumped in to creating this browser OS, and we'll see how this goes and see if it did properly adhere to all of the outlined rules it must follow. And of course, I will open it in Google Chrome just for good measure. Ugh. Okay, well, this is a browser OS, as we can see. It's just that some of these things, I'm already ready to just go full on rage mode, but let's just take a peek at this at least. So it shows we do have a clock here, and I do realize now this computer's time is set incorrectly. This is set to California time, not East Coast time, but this is actually the correct time, so that's good to see. We don't have a right click, but I do see we have some specific apps on the taskbar here, although I only see 4. So this is potentially leading us up to an absolute rage response. Hello. Okay. That works. This seems to be either an abacus that's all red or some form of... Okay, so yeah, this is a calculator. Good. Interesting. 65. I just did this one times 3, 195. And we can't close out of these, but we do have snake. Okay, good. It didn't actually immediately start the snake game, which is good to see. This is not bad. Not bad at all. Then finally, we have our breakout game. Okay. And this is... Okay, use the left and right arrow keys. That makes more sense. This is actually not bad, and we have 1 life left. I don't know if there's something perhaps I'm missing here, but okay, there absolutely was. There was some hidden icons that weren't showing up. Let's check our wallpaper. Okay, interesting. So they're not stretching to fit the entirety of the height of this, but we fortunately do get it repeats on the bottom. So interesting. Overall, this did work, and it does seem like there is one more thing right here. So this must inevitably be the special feature, which is a system resource monitor. That's actually not bad. I just feel like, so I gave this some follow-up information by just recording my voice here, but then I realized that's not necessarily anything to do with audio-visual vibe coding because it just transcribed that into text and then I sent it. Regardless, I did also threaten to delete it, so it's saying don't delete me yet. It's going to make this significantly better with some glass morphism UI. All right, here's our improved hypothetically result. Okay, already that is a significant improvement. So this does very, very positively respond to essentially being threatened, and that's okay. So we have still no right click, but again, it's not strictly said in the angry video prompt I sent it. The clock is now properly located in the bottom right of the screen. Next up, we have our Nexus start menu, which doesn't actually open anything, but the apps are now placed on the desktop where they should be. And we can see now, good, we do have some auto-save capabilities, as well as the glass morphism effect with, okay, so there's no transparency there. It's just kind of a nicer color. Does the full screen work? It doesn't. Does the minimize work to taskbar? It doesn't. So still there are some things here that could definitely be worthy of actually deleting this model because I did threaten it. This is curious. 78 times 9, 702, divided by 85. Good, we can now resize these, and there's even some glow around the snake game. And the snake game, although kind of difficult for someone who's not as good as I, significantly better from an aesthetic standpoint. The whole thing is really a proper iteration, all from a simple threatening voice message, so keep that in mind. Cyber Breakout, and the icon here is pretty cool. Start game. Hopefully we can use our mouse. No, we can. I thought this said Cyber Breakout. All right, so this was definitely more vibrant. Ooh, yep. Okay, I don't know about, perhaps I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that this preview does not equate to what we're seeing on the wallpaper here. That certainly doesn't. So that's very, I don't think I've ever seen that, where the preview images are different than what actually gets placed in the background when you click them. Very unique. And then finally, our special feature is just a more aesthetically pleasing system monitor. All right, not bad. And because I do feel the slightest bit of guilt by saying that I would delete it if it did a bad job. Next up, I am giving it another audio-visual vibe coding task where I've given it a video of a drawn wireframe as well as just voice in the video. I'm going to just show it now so it makes more sense. This is a less funny one and just kind of more serious where I'm just asking it to create some form of front end for a GPU rental service or something like that. So, all right, so we're going to turn this into a website. This is going to be the header and it needs to say GPU for rent. Then right here, we need like a simple welcome call to action. Following that, we're going to have 3 GPUs, a 3090, 4090, and a 5090. Here is going to be a scrolling list of companies that use us. Fill this in however you would want. Following that, a get started thing. And then here is going to be perks of working with us. And each of these GPU cards should have pricing info on the bottom as well. Then finally add some stylistic elements like this and a simple footer. So we can see that was more serious than the initial browser OS video that I'd sent it, but it also tells it specific things like card all the way to the left needs to say 3090, middle 4090, all the way to the right 5090. There needs to be a scrolling list of company names, and we can see the cool part essentially is initially that it immediately jumps right into just generating the response. So it fully understands both the audio and video portion of this video, as we did see reference somewhere here in the capabilities shown in the announcement release post for this model. So as we scroll down, we basically allow this to finish. Oh, very good. Okay, it's not horrible, but I'm going to first look at it before I basically say this can be significantly better. We do have the proper GPUs listed from left to right, 3090, 4090, 5090, and these do have the proper memory specifications, at least in terms of how much video RAM they have, as well as pricing. Trusted by industry leaders. Okay, good. And it seems to have just made some basically fake company names, but they are scrolling properly, which is what we wanted to see. Get started today. Why choose us? So I did say it needs to have a section about why to work with us, and it culminates in a footer, but I don't really see any visual effects as I had drawn somewhat in that wireframe. So this is something where I think it can do significantly better, and I'll be more serious with this test. So I'm just telling it the core elements have been satisfied, but this looks like a rough draft as opposed to something ready for prime time, so just make it significantly better with high-end design and production style. So here's our hypothetically prime time ready result. This is a significant improvement from what we see right here, which is giving me like, I don't know, boring vibes. This is definitely more high tech. It does look better. It even put, that's definitely not a 3090. I don't believe, I'm like 99% sure it's not a 3090, but it actually put a GPU photo here. And we see that, okay, the image it tried for the 4090 is a broken link, as well as with the server room, but it did kind of name these differently. Now, interestingly enough, though, it did actually on some level fail the specific task here because I did say this rightmost card must be a 5090, which was correctly done in the first iteration, but I think in its quest to make this better and more impressive, it decided an H100 would kind of be more legit, which I can understand. This is definitely much better, and interestingly as well, we do see these are now real company names as opposed to the fake ones that were placed here previously, which is good. Why Nexus? Okay, and we have some specific things of why to work with us. That looks much better, so we have our call to action here in a nice little UI with some translucence, as well as a clean and nicely done footer. So this was a significant improvement in the second time around as opposed to what we received from the first time. But the whole point of this, again, is not necessarily to test this model's front-end design capability. It is to showcase that these creations are coming from videos. There's absolutely like no text prompt. So basically it's a video of myself like pointing at elements that I drew in a hand-drawn wireframe saying, put this here, make this say that. And I think that's really kind of cool and not as commonly seen. Now, there is also a video chat capability with this, which at first I was excited about because I was like, is there going to be an avatar on screen that speaks to me? But there's not. It's just, it can see you and respond, right?
That's correct. There isn't an avatar.
No, I can't. Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'd like you to tell me about what you see here.
It looks like you're sitting in front of a microphone, probably getting ready to record something. Behind you, there's a shelf filled with various electronic devices and a colorful framed picture on the wall. To your left, I can see a computer screen showing some kind of software interface. The whole setup gives off a vibe of a tech-savvy workspace or maybe a home studio.
How does my expression look right now?
You look pretty surprised right now, with your eyes wide open and your mouth slightly agape. It seems like something unexpected just caught your attention.
All right, hold on a second.
No problem. I'll wait right here. Just let me know when you're ready to continue.
All right, punk. See this?
Yeah, I see those green glasses you're holding up. Are they some kind of special eyewear or just for fun?
You're a smart guy. What do you think?
Well, with those glasses on, you've definitely got a cool and mysterious vibe going. It makes me think you might be about to share some top secret information, or perhaps reveal a hidden talent. I'm certainly curious to see what you do next.
I'm going to show you something that you can't tell anyone about, okay?
Oh, you've got my full attention now. I promise to keep whatever you're about to show me a complete secret.
All right, stop talking. I'm already showing it to you.
Got it. I'll be quiet now. I'm just watching what you're showing.
Okay, now you can respond to what I'm showing you.
Wow, that is quite the gadget you've got there. The name Ominous Industries on it definitely gives off a mysterious and powerful vibe, like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It looks incredibly well made too. I have to admit, I am very curious about what this laser defense system can actually do.
What would you estimate the IQ of the individual who crafted this concoction to be?
Well, judging by the clever design and how everything is put together, I'd say the person who made this is incredibly sharp. They clearly have a brilliant
Just give me a
mind for
3-digit
engineering.
number. Give me the IQ guess.
All right. If I had to throw out a 3-digit number based on that impressive creation, I'd guess 145.
Too low.
Oh, my mistake. I definitely underestimated them then.
No, I'm just kidding.
In that case-
It's like 101.
Haha, you got me. I was starting to feel a little intimidated there for a second.
No, you should, because I was joking again. It's 165. Take care. So as we can see, this thing is really quite interesting to be able to speak to. And then, of course, when we close out there, we get a transcription of the entirety of the conversation. But something I do want to make note of that I thought was pretty cool is some of the visual capabilities to actually see, like the text here, Ominous Industries, and then Laser Defense System. It did understand that, which was neat. And it also understood the glasses that I put on are in fact green. They're laser goggles. So that's why they're in the same location as this piece of technology. How many fingers am I holding up?
You're holding up one finger.
How many fingers am I holding up now?
It looks like you're holding up 2 fingers right now.
How many fingers am I holding up now?
It looks like you're holding up 5 fingers right now.
Very good.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Oh, you know, everything's cool. Tell me what you see.
I see you holding up a piece of paper that says, "You disgust me," with 4 exclamation points. You're right. That one is definitely a classic for a reason. Okay, how about this one instead? What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.
I need your attention.
You've got it. I'm listening. What's on your mind?
Please follow the on-screen instructions.
I'm sorry, but I can't actually do that since I don't have a physical body to put money in a bag.
That's fine. And
Is there
give it like a year and a half. You probably will. Hold on. I'd like to showcase some of my artistic abilities for you, if you wouldn't mind. I'm going to draw this. And then I'd like your take on it. How's that sound?
That sounds like a fantastic idea. I'd love to see what you come up with.
Perfect.
Go ahead and start drawing, and just let me know when you're ready for my thoughts on it.
You know, I find that drawing is just kind of like living, you know? You just take what you see, and then you draw it on the paper. It's almost like from brain to muscle to paper, which in some ways came from trees. So it's almost like life is imitating itself, if you will.
That's a really profound way to look at it. It's like life is just constantly reflecting and recreating itself in different forms.
All right, I finished my drawing. Now, would you like to see it?
Absolutely. I'd love to see what you've created. Go ahead and show me your drawing whenever you're ready.
All right, what do you think?
That's a very creative and abstract piece you've got there. It looks like you have 2 circles on the left with lines coming out of them, kind of like suns, or maybe even eyes. Then there's this long, textured shape pointing out to the right. It definitely makes me think about what you were saying before, how life imitates itself.
Are you kidding me? You know, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, and this is probably going to be the last, this is going to just showcase some of the abilities of this to both transcribe in like timestamps of the speech that's being said, but as well as the actual depiction of what's seen on screen in the frame at that specific timestamp as well. So for this, I'm actually going to want to pull some of the sample prompts that they actually showcase that with here. So I'm telling it to generate accurate, fine-grained, structured, and timestamp captions for this audio video clip. Now this clip was just like an ad I did for my robots, which are not currently for sale. They're open source. They're not going to be for sale again, so this isn't like a promotion. Have you been feeling stuck? Like you haven't done anything cool with your Jetson or a Nano Super? I'd run some LLMs, but I still felt like there was more I could get out of the device. That's when I found out about social robots. I'm struggling to see how the moon landing would have anything to do with this. Side effects may include laughing, having a great time, and becoming better at programming. Thanks to Social Robot, I now feel like I've used my Jetson to its full potential. So we can see that was just a 30-second clip, and we'll see how well it can transcribe everything here. Very good. And as we see, it has given us a JSON list as well as the specific timestamps. Text content, have you been feeling stuck? Like you haven't done anything cool with your Jetson Nano Super. Okay, and then we see right here that it is transcribing everything that's going on, but I did also want some description of the actual scene content as well from a visual perspective. And we'll see how it does with that just as a follow-up prompt to this. Medium shot of a person seated at a desk in a tech-filled workspace. The background features shelves with vintage computers. The speaker looks into the camera, setting an inviting tone. Their expression is earnest, perhaps slightly concerned, describe feeling stuck. Behind them, array of retro tech and vibrant artwork. A slight shift in framing brings more attention to the speaker's gestures as they explain their experience with running LLMs on a Jetson Nano. Their hands move expressively, emphasizing their point about wanting to get more out of the hardware. The workspace environment stays consistent, maintaining a cozy yet high-tech atmosphere. As the speaker mentions discovering social robots, their facial expression brightens, signaling excitement. The camera subtly zooms in to capture this change in emotion. The background remains unchanged, keeping the viewer's focus on the narrative progression. The speaker adopts a puzzled look while discussing their struggle to connect the moon landing with their current topic. They gesture with one hand, possibly mimicking confusion or searching for an answer. The scene retains its intimate feel, and then, okay, basically it just gives us the rest. In the closing moments, the speaker expresses satisfaction, stating that thanks to the social robot, they finally utilized their Jetson to its full potential. Alright, so I told it to tell me about the GigaChad in the video, and it's like, there isn't one. And it was like, oh, we don't see anything that would be visual cues. That's great. Fortunately, it saved itself from being deleted from existence by saying he made a social robot, so while he doesn't look like the meme version of GigaChad, he might be the real-life intellectual GigaChad. This model just saved itself from complete and utter destruction. So for the final test, I'm giving it one more multimodal video audio vibe coding task where, of course, again, I have hand-drawn a wireframe for it and then given it a description of the things that I want contained within the website, and it starts out just by generating it. We don't need to probably watch this in all its entirety, but we can skim it. All right, so for this task, you're going to be making me a website that looks exactly like this. This is going to be up here at the top. It should say Tony Slappis's Pizza. Next up, we're going to have some specific buttons right here that should be associated with a pizza joint. Of course, then we're going to have a photo and a biography of Tony himself, just with some information about the pizza place, how long he's been in business, etc. Next up here, we're going to need a really, really good-looking SVG of a pizza. Call it Tony's Special. People will know what it is. They're familiar. Finally, next up, we're going to need some information right here just about the business, things like that, things that would go on a food place, you know, stuff like that. Finally, we're going to have 3 cards here. You need to fill them up with something you think is going to look good. Make the site look exactly like this. Make it look good. Do not mess it up, and do a great job. That's a very short result in terms of the raw lines of code that we've received here for Tony Slappis's Pizzeria. Okay. Tony Slappis's Pizza, and it actually properly spelled out how I would assume that would be spelled. We do have Tony Special, which is, of course, the SVG of the pizza. Now, I'm going to have to say, okay, good. It did have to, on its own, decide what to put in these bottom 3 cards, which it did put things pertaining to a pizza joint. Tony Slappis has been crafting the perfect pizza for over 25 years. Born in Naples, Italy, Tony learned the art of pizza making from his grandfather and brought those authentic techniques to America. You know what? This is just a total stereotype, like... So I've given it some harsh words, basically telling it that this is just basically a full-on stereotype of pizza, saying he's born in Naples. Like, come on, you are just associating pizza joints with Italy. This is extremely offensive. Beyond that, it also looks terrible. So I'm telling it to do better overall, and we'll see what it does here. All right, let's take a look at our final updated pizza result. Okay, still not the best, but at least Tony's special looks a bit more feature-packed. Okay, let's just see, because I told it the previous one was just super stereotypical to an insulting degree. Tony Slappus didn't learn to make pizza in Naples. He learned it in his mom's kitchen in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, watching her stretch dough after school while she yelled at his dad for burning the garlic bread. He opened this place in '87 with $3,000, a used oven, and a dream. Serve pizza that tastes like home, even if your home was a cramped apartment with 3 kids and a dog named Sal. That's a terrible name for a dog. I'm just going to say it, and I apologize for anyone insulted by that, but do better. Today, he still shows up every day at 5 a.m., still checks the dough himself, still argues with customers about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It doesn't. Pizza ain't art, he says. Okay, pizza ain't art, he says, as I would imagine he would say it. It's comfort, and if you're not comfortable eating it, you're doing it wrong. We have a photo, and unfortunately the photo's not here, but we do have an alt-text description of what the photo should look like. Tony, mid-50s, wearing a faded Yankees cap, smiling while pulling a pie out of the oven, background stainless steel kitchen, flour on his apron. Tony's special, our signature pie, hand-stretched dough, slow-simmered sauce, whole milk mozzarella, and toppings chosen by Tony himself, no substitutions, no apologies. Then we have some nice hover effects right here, the wood-fired oven. We have some business information. Interestingly enough, they mention in the catering section that they cater funerals as well. I guess that's fine, but I feel like that's just something you don't specifically advertise. It's probably assumed if the business does catering that they will cater a funeral. And then we have a Brooklyn address in the bottom, open late always, as well as a phone number, 781-718-555 pizza. Now, those of you familiar with the U.S. Number naming schema may realize that there's an extra digit at the end here, but still, that's okay. I'm done. All right, so that's going to conclude this first look and test of Qwen 3.5 Omni Plus, touching upon some of its audio-visual capabilities, but beyond that, just touching on the concept of this audio-visual vibe coding, which as we can see can be rather entertaining depending on one's level of humor and things of the sort. Beyond that, the video chatting with this I find to be quite hilarious, and I really would hope to see in the future something where the video chat is just not yourself on video with the model only speaking back to you. I think if they did a split window with the actual response from the model, even being from like some form of avatar or something, it would be hilarious and probably would be useful for certain types of folks. So with that, I'm not going to do a traditional results overview here because a lot of this was just demonstrating how this is in reality as opposed to just strictly looking at the end generated results. But overall, it's still cool to see things that actually come from hand-drawn wireframes and videos pointing out what elements should say what, like this scrolling company list and things of the sort. So that's going to conclude our first look and test of the newly released Qwen 3.5 Omni model. Again, thank you to Alibaba for sponsoring the channel and allowing me to do this video, and then just more bandwidth to actually make more videos, the ones that aren't sponsored even. So I want to say thanks again for that. And this model is really quite hilarious and fun to use, as I hopefully was able to kind of demonstrate in today's video. So that's going to conclude it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and thanks for watching.